I'm so grateful to continue on this walk with you regarding Battlefield of the Mind. Last week, we were talking about a number of different conditions that we face. And this week, we're going to be talking about a wandering mind. How many of you guys feel like you've ever had a wandering mind? Anybody? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So there's a book, there's a verse in Ecclesiastes 5:1 that says, keep your foot or give your mind to what you are doing. This author, wonderful Joyce Meyer, says, keep your foot means don't lose your balance or get off track. How many times a day do you feel like you get off balance or get off track? How many times a day? I would say at least for me, 25 to 50. How about you?
Yeah.
I mean, I just fight this constantly. I go to the bathroom to pick up a towel or something to bring it back, and I go in there and get lost. I'm like, what am I even doing in here? Oh, I came in here for a towel. I like simplest things, completing a task, sitting down and doing something till it's finished. Like, for example, going through my email and really getting something done. When do you become aware that you have gotten off track? How do you typically realize that you're off track?
I think what you just said is you go in to do something and then you get there and you don't remember what you came in to do. So you end up doing something else which wasn't on your schedule.
Right. Right. That Webster's dictionary defines the word wander as to move about aimlessly. Sounds like my exercise program. To go by an indirect route or at no set pace. How many of us feel stuck or wandering? This sounds like a prayer request. I feel stuck. I feel like I'm aimlessly wandering. To proceed at an irregular course of action or meander, or to think of oneself unclearly or incoherently. That is the definition of the word wander. If you're like me, and I'm talking about the author here, and I'm reading on page 79, sitting in a church service, listening to a speaker, really enjoying yourself and benefiting, and suddenly your mind begins to wander. You don't remember a thing that's been said, even though your body stayed in church, your mind has been at a shopping center, browsing through stores, or home cooking dinner in the kitchen. Do you find that is typical with you? I mean, right now, is your mind wandering? I hate to pull that one on you, but it was too easy. I'm sorry, I had to do that. Okay, so this mind wandering phenomena also happens during conversation. And she says, remember, in spiritual warfare, the mind is the battlefield. That's where the enemy makes his attack. He knows very well, even though a person attends church, if you can't keep your mind on what's being taught, you can gain nothing by being there. You can go park in church and call yourself a Christian, and you can go sit in the garage and call yourself a car. But the thing is here is if you can't keep your mind on what's being shared, that's a mental attack. And you guys start being sensitive to when those mental attacks happen. I will tell you, many times in my life, I've gotten so lazy that I don't even know when it's happening. It's so familiar to me that when it starts, if I'm in church and my mind starts wandering, I could come back next Easter before I realize, oh my gosh, this has been a true attack. I came here to worship God and to get something from this sermon, and I've gotten nothing. The mind wandering phenomena also occurs during conversation. There are times when, and she's talking about her husband, Dave, is talking to her and she listens for a while. Then all of a sudden I realize I haven't heard a thing they've been saying. Why? Because I allowed my mind to wander off on something else. My body was standing there appearing to listen, but I heard nothing. I do that all the time to my husband. Eric, thank you so much for editing this. You're probably like, oh yeah, you do. But when this kind of thing happens, often, we pretend that we heard what they were saying when we didn't. And the author says that one spiritual thing that she has done is to admit when someone's talking and she's missing it, that she needs to admit, I wasn't listening. My mind wandered away. Can you say that again, please? And the reason she does this is because she has found that she has to deal with the problem, number one, but number two, often the enemy is causing her not to hear something the other person is saying that's super critical. How many times have you realized, oh my gosh, there was some blip in the conversation I didn't get, and now they're mad at me? I've decided that the devil went to the trouble to attack me with a wandering mind. Then perhaps something else was being said that I needed to hear. Whoa, that happens all the time to me. I will tell you, it happens to me all the time. She goes on to say that the devil's going to give up when he sees that you're not going to give in. Remember, Satan wants you to think that you're mentally deficient, that something is wrong with you. But the truth is, you need to begin disciplining your mind. Do not let it run all over town doing whatever it pleases. Begin today to keep your foot, to keep your mind on what you're doing. You're going to need to practice this for a while, and breaking old habits and forming new ones takes time, but it's worth it in the end. The present moment is the greatest gift we have from God, but if we're not present, we're going to miss it. Oh my goodness. All right, so now we're going to switch gears and go to a wandering mind, which is interesting because I would have thought a wandering mind, this is a wondering, like I wonder about this and I wonder about that. This is from Mark 11:23 and 24. Truly, I tell you, whoever says to this mountain, be lifted up and thrown into the sea, and does not doubt at all in his heart, but believes in what he says will take place, it will be done for him. For this reason, I'm telling you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe, trust, and be confident that it is granted to you and you will get it. Whoa, that is one loaded promise. That's Mark 11:23 and 24. Faced with one thing or another, I began to hear myself say, I wonder what the weather will be like tomorrow. I wonder what I should wear to the party. I wonder what kinds of grades Danny, my son, will get on his report card. And I'm reading from page 81 in the book. I wonder how many people will show up at this seminar. The dictionary partially defines the word wonder in the noun as a form of feeling of puzzlement or doubt, and that the verb form is to be filled with curiosity or doubt. Wonder is curiosity, puzzlement, or doubt. So anytime you start to wonder about something, you need to pray for yourself. That is not something that Jesus wants you doing all the time. He doesn't want you distracted and wondering what's coming next. Is this new news to you? Who as a preacher has ever talked to you about this? I have not heard a lot on this subject, and I am fascinated with it because I've spent half my life worried about things that I had no business wondering about. So she goes on to say, I'm much better off doing something than just wandering all the time and being caught about everything imaginable. Instead of wondering what kinds of grades Danny will get, I can believe that he's going to make good grades. Rather than wondering what I should wear to the party, I can decide what to wear. Instead of wondering about the weather or how many people will attend a meeting, I can just turn the matter over to the Lord, trusting him to work out all things for good, regardless of what happens. So, how many things right now are you wondering about? All right, let's just stop and for one moment, take a quick inventory. Everybody throw out one thing they're wondering about. I'm wondering when the Ukraine thing is going to end. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of seeing these terrible images. I wonder, where is God with some of this stuff? I get mad. How about you?
How
When
about
is
COVID?
COVID good?
COVID. I wonder where that's going to go. Yeah. Yeah. What other things need to go? What else are you wondering about?
All the people who are so dependent on drugs. Tennessee is having like this huge amount of people are passing away because they're they're taking those tainted drugs.
Yes, fentanyl.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, coming on all kinds of drugs. Yes,
Crazy. I
yes,
mean, even in pills now it is.
yes, very much so. How about other things you're wondering about that as I talk to you about this, you're kind of like, I don't, I don't even, I wonder why she's even bringing this up.
For me, it's when people I know will be saved who are non-believers.
Yes,
That's what I
Patricia,
wonder.
that's a good one. That's
How
a,
about where is kindness gone?
Mhm.
yeah. How about anybody else have anything that you're like, I wonder when she's ever going to shut up? Because like this is a pretty big deal.
No,
Yeah, Carl.
no, we don't wonder when you're, no, we listen to you, Elizabeth. For me, it's,
You're so kind.
it is the world things.
Mhm.
And I worry about my mom. When is this going to end? Because I feel like she's being attacked.
Yes.
And I wonder sometimes about work and where things are really going, and not just my future, but the guys, I worry about them all the time.
Yeah.
So.
I get that. And I love what this author says, which she says, although wondering about some things is normal, if it's excessive, it can leave a person in indecision. Indecision causes confusion. So get this, wandering around in your mind leads to indecision. Indecision leads to confusion. And confusion can prevent an individual from receiving from God by faith the answer to your prayer or need. Did you get that? This is a huge link in the chain of where's God and what is hindering him from taking action on your behalf. This is the third paragraph from the bottom of page 81, and I'm going to read it one more time because it's critical. Although some wondering about things is normal, if it's excessive, it can leave a person in indecision, and indecision causes confusion. Wondering, indecision, and confusion prevent you from receiving from God by faith an answer to your prayer or need. Indecision, confusion. Do you ever have conversations with people where it's the same conversation over and over, and they're always confused? They're always struggling. It's the same thing in a different form every 10 minutes. You guys, when you encounter that, understand something, whether it's on you or on them, it's a form of spiritual attack. Do you get that? I had a situation last week in business where I realized a person who was reading a very important document wasn't getting what the document actually said. And this is a decision maker. And I started praying, oh Lord, open his mind. Oh God, please let him read what's really in front of him. And I started explaining things, but at the same time, I knew there was a spiritual attack happening in that moment. Notice in Mark 11:23 and 24, and this is where Jesus says, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe, trust, and be confident that it's granted to you and you will get it. Notice Jesus did not say, whatever you ask for in prayer, wonder if you're going to get it. Instead, he said, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you're going to receive it and you will. Holy cow. As Christians, we are believers. We're called to believe and not doubt. And I will tell you, everything that is in Satan's arsenal right now to cause you to doubt is in motion in our society. If something doesn't give you peace that you're reading, turn it off. If something terrifies you on the TV, turn it off. If something's coming to you in a way that causes you confusion and doubt, get away from it. That is a spiritual attack. Anything that attacks your mind, say, Jesus, help me. Just get me out of this conversation, out of this place I'm tempted, out of this place that I'm either hearing or seeing things that are causing me pain and doubt and confusion. But that is a flag, because Here's what's happening is your peace is being lifted. Jesus said, my peace I give unto you. Not as the world gives, do I give to you. I bequeath it to you. That means his peace is with us. You don't have to ask for it. It's yours. It's in you. You don't need to seek it. He's already given it to you. It's kind of like, I love what this pastor says about, trying to get into a chair. If you fight the chair long enough, you're going to fall out. With Jesus, he's given us his peace. Anything that threatens that peace, whether it's news, whether it's friends that have acted a certain way, whether it's a comment that someone makes, anything that comes up against the peace of Jesus Christ that he died to give you is an attack from the enemy. Recognize it for what it is. Now that you know this, you guys, you're responsible to pray for yourself in that moment when you feel that attack. It is so important that you pray for yourself. So how does this happen? I mean, I'll tell you, I go to church with the intent sometimes to get something from the preaching, and my mind starts wandering. It is not my first impulse to pray for myself at that moment when my mind starts wandering. I have to change that behavior. Do you? If you need to change that behavior, you guys, the thing I challenge you now at the end of this week is to ask the Holy Spirit to make you aware when you have a wandering mind, when you're wondering about things that really only God knows. There are many things this side of eternity we will never understand. And part of being a Christian is being okay with knowing the person who knows the answer. We may not ever have the answer, but just knowing Jesus Christ is an answer. And he assures us that in the very near future, in fact, in the twinkling of an eye, we're going to be transformed and be fully knowledgeable like him in his image. Can you imagine that? What that's going to be like? Just in the twinkling of an eye, it all goes. We are right there with him. And I love you. I pray that this is getting deep in your soul, that this is, even if your mind is wandering while we're talking about this, that you're getting so curious about what's happening in your mind, you'll open this book. You will get this stuff from this woman who has studied this hard and made this her #1 bestseller, because this is, you guys, key to growing up and maturing in Christ, is holding on to your peace. That peace that surpasses all understanding is the greatest witness to a world that is increasingly wondering what's coming next. All right, we're straight up at 8 o'clock. Next week, we're going to be talking about chapter 10, which is on page 85, A Confused Mind. This is a wonderful, wonderful chapter. If you have anybody you know that struggles with confusion all the time, this is a fantastic discussion we'll be focused on next week. All right, you guys, thank you so much. I will be praying for you. If you need anything, please text me. God be with you. May his face shine upon you. Have a wonderful week, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too.
Have
See
a
you
good
next
week,
week.
everybody.
Bye, guys.
Have a good week.